The prime goal of government is to protect the minority of the opulent from the majority. And in order to do that, you've got to fragment the majority so they really can't get together and do very much. And you have to concentrate power in the wealth of the nation.
We got Joe Machi here, one of my absolute favorite comedians, who I've known for a while from Red Eye. Still nothing?
Still nothing. That's okay.
It's not okay.
I can hear you because we're in the same room.
That's true.
So that's good.
I had wanted to book you on my show when I was on Compound Media. And I had sat in this very chair. I was on Dave Smith's show.
Dave Smith?
Yeah, you know Dave.
I know Dave.
Yeah. And I'm like... I did my Joe Machi impression. I looked at the camera, which you always did at Red Eye. I go, oh boy, I really want to book Joe Machi. I think he's really funny and has some good punchlines. And then Dave had an old email address of yours. So I email you, invite me on my show. I invite you on my show. You don't reply. I email a few months later, you don't reply. I'm like, oh, he must have been really pissed. But I wasn't making fun of him. That was from warmth. But then it was actually the wrong email address.
Oh, no, I don't. Yeah, and I don't even listen to anything Dave Smith puts out. That's for damn sure. That's too much time.
You're also the co-host of the Keeping Joe podcast.
I am, yes.
With Phil Hanley, who's great.
Oh, he's okay.
And oh my God, I'm so excited. And Sam Morril.
Sam Morril, human piece of shit. Can I say shit?
Shit. You got to say it like Neil Hamburger. Shit. Wait, so how'd you guys decide to... Wait, what the hell does the name Keeping Joe mean?
I hate podcasts, except for this one. I love this one. And I didn't want to do one. They're like, we should do one. And I'm like, okay, but I don't want to do it. I'll probably quit. And I said, as a condition to do it, I just don't want to ruin our friendship. So they said the whole point of the podcast is, how long are you going to keep doing it? We've been doing it for over a year.
Okay.
So don't listen to it. Because the less people listen, the less chance that I'll have to keep doing it.
It's on Riotcast.
Yeah, it's on Riotcast, a competitor to is Gas Digital.
Yeah. Rival. Yeah, friendly rival. I don't think there's any beef between any of these different groups.
Let's get it started. Let's get some beef going.
Oh, you were never like this on Red Eye, Joe.
Well, a lot of people watch that show. No, I'm just teasing.
You've gotten hardened.
Yeah, this city will jade you.
It does.
Yeah, I mean, this heat, I'm ornery because of that.
Yeah. Oh, ornery, that's a Pennsylvania word.
Well, it's a word, too. It's in most dictionaries, but... that's the thing. This rent is probably enormous, but you're not really close to a subway line.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to walk.
Yeah. Or Uber it, which I'm going to... are you playing with your...
Playing with my gut.
That's kind of like...
This is a winter gut.
Like Honey Boo Boo.
I never watched that show. I only know it from Twitter.
No, she got her start. She was on Toddlers and Tiaras.
Okay.
And she goes, "This is what I show the judges." And she put her shirt, started playing with her belly. Yeah, it was very touching.
Oh, I'm stealing from
this poor special needs child.
Right.
What were your concerns about? Now, this is interesting. Like, when's the last time you had a friendship ruined? You seem like such an amiable guy.
Oh, I am an amiable guy. I just like to pretend I don't like people. That's how I make friends.
Nah, I think this is the Oreo cookie thing. Because I do this also, where you act like you're hateful, and then people get to know you really nice, but underneath that, you're really hateful also. Like the layers of the Oreo.
What layers of the Oreo are hateful?
The black ones.
The black ones?
Because they're dark and hateful.
It's still cookie.
But it's devil's food.
I don't know. Maybe you're setting your bar too high if you think cookies... You're like, oh man, my life is so hard that I don't like cookies. It has to be all cream. You can't have too much cream. It's the cookie that makes the cream better. And all these damn millennials with their double stuffed Oreos, that's part of the problem. They never had to work for the Oreo. What you do is you take off the Oreo, you take the cream out, put it on a different Oreo, throw those cookies away.
That's garbage.
Yeah.
Into the trash it goes.
Into the trash it goes.
Wait, so what is the last time you got into like some big fight with somebody? What do you like in an argument? It's hard for me to imagine.
I don't get into beefs with, like, publicly or anything.
Sure.
Because who wants to do that? It's not productive.
Kevin Brennan.
Yes. Well, maybe he does.
Yeah.
What's the point of that?
Right.
even when I was on a reality TV show, Last Comic Standing,
Yeah.
I didn't want to say I was better than other comedians.
Because you're competing against yourself on those shows.
You're competing against a ridiculous premise that you can make art. That it's subjective.
Yeah,
so they
of
could have
course.
kicked me out in round one. They
Right.
could have never had me on the show.
Right.
Just because they got it wrong at the end, no big deal. but like it's one of those things where I think our country, I think the world in particular, we judge people on the things we disagree with most.
Sure.
And that's a bad way to live life, especially when I'm fairly conservative and most of my friends are quite liberal. But we're still friends. It's cool.
Yeah, it's very sad to me when people are not able to be friends with people with different perspectives. It's like if you had friend who was like a Muslim, would you care? Of course not. Would you have friends who was like a born again Christian? If they were decent people, of course not. You know,
Yeah,
so it's
that
very
would
weird.
That would say something negative about myself.
Yeah.
I'm friends with Michelle Wolf. We don't agree politically, but look, she's telling jokes, and I tweeted like, you might not have liked the jokes, but I know her personally. She's a good person. I got a lot of heck for that.
I think the thing with her, and I tweeted out what I would have done. I said, I don't think the jokes landed. If she could, this is the joke I would have made, and I know it's obnoxious for me to tell someone at her stature how to make a joke, but it would be
And mine, I'm also a big deal.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Network. I would have said the last time I met a woman who lies as much as Sarah Huckabee Sanders, I voted for her. You would have had the same joke.
Yeah, we can rewrite the set. It's just, I don't think that's a show that you should kill on, a correspondence dinner, because it's a whole bunch of people that can't laugh at themselves.
Yeah. Okay.
I think you're playing for posterity. You're looking for those YouTube clips 2 years down the road. Wow, she really went for it.
Did you feel bad for your friend given the reaction she got?
I feel like in a way, I feel bad anytime someone says they don't care, it does hurt
course,
when people
yes, of course.
say mean things about you. I don't think it'll ever let anyone, Michelle, stop her.
Of course.
I also feel like everybody got what they wanted. I feel like people got to be the victim if they wanted to be.
Right.
People got to say this is great if they wanted to. Michelle's career it was already going pretty good, and now it's really onto another strata.
Right.
So, I think at the end of the day, it was a rough week for her, but it all worked out.
Yeah. I one of the things I talk about in my forthcoming book is there's this kind of that people like her in that moment, and people like Colbert are, and Jon Stewart was the first example of this, are basically televangelists, literally televangelists, because they're preaching to a very specific choir, and they really, and again, I don't think she's the worst example of this at all, or best, but it's really it's more about landing the attack than about hitting the punchline. Samantha Bee is another example of this. I think Samantha Bee is more focused on making the point than making the punchline.
Well, with her the feckless.
Cunt.
Yeah. To me, there was no punchline.
Right.
I think Michelle's jokes had punchlines.
That's
and when your punchline is "fuck this person," that's not a well written joke. And I see that. I stopped watching Samantha Bee quite a while ago because I just kept seeing her saying, "Watch us while we're on the air." Are you kidding me? You've been insulting the president for a year and a half, and you're still pretending that they're gonna shut you down,
right?
With this, the joke doesn't land because it doesn't match reality,
right?
No one's trying to take her show away. So I don't think it's that great a show. I sometimes they have some funny stuff.
Of course.
Just, when the punchline comes second or fourth or 10th, it's not a good joke, in my opinion. And sometimes I write jokes about subjects I don't even agree with. I just think it's funny.
You know what one of my favorite jokes of yours is?
Which one's that?
The Hitler one.
Oh, which I got a few.
Oh my God, I love you so much. You got 6 million of them? Or is that number a lie?
No, boy. No, that's a true number. And that's terrible.
I went to
but
yeshiva.
you said
Let me
that.
just make that
I
straight.
did not say that. You're Jewish.
Yes, I went to Jewish school.
Okay, so
they taught us all the Holocaust jokes in school.
Oh, okay. Well, people still get mad at me sometimes, but I don't make Holocaust jokes in the sense that I'm making a joke about the Holocaust. My biggest one is My most popular one is the one about if I had a time machine and I went back and murdered.
Oh, tell me this one. I don't know. It's not the one I was thinking of.
I have this joke where if I went back in time and murdered baby Hitler, what would happen if my time machine broke? Like, wouldn't everyone there be like, what the hell did you do that for? And I would be like, you're never going to believe this. I'm from the future, and this baby's where the story takes a twist. But then even if I did go back and murder baby Hitler, baby Reichsfuhrer Himmler, and baby propaganda minister Goebbels, what if they do something bad? I mean, just to be on the safe side, I'm probably going to have to murder 70 or 80 of those babies. I mean, they're all German. They're going to look similar, right? I mean, I don't want to make 2 trips. And people will come up to me and say there's nothing funny about the Holocaust. I'm like, 1, I'm talking about murdering Hitler. And 2, I'm talking about time machines. And a lot of people, even theoretical physicists, think those are impossible.
Right.
So I'm not talking about reality. I would never... I did do a joke where... which one were you thinking of?
The hair color.
Oh, yeah. Where Hitler had... blonde hair people are superior when he had brown hair. It's such a crazy thing. Didn't one guy say something? I mean, maybe he was that persuasive that, no one was like, hey, Hitler, you don't have brown hair. Hess didn't have brown hair. Goebbels didn't have brown hair. You have to go down to like Reinhard Heydrich before you get to an actual Aryan.
What's amazing about good humor is those jokes are silly in a sense,
right?
But they're obviously you've done the research.
They have to be grounded in reality,
yes.
And that's what frustrates me when Samantha Bee does jokes that like the one about they're gonna take me off the air, whatever. Right. It's not grounded in reality, and so it's hard to laugh. I was at a show, and the host. This was in 2008. The host did a setup where he said, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, if you vote for either one, you're getting basically the same thing. And a woman heckled him. She shouldn't have heckled, but
right.
This guy was trying to sell a premise that reasonable people could make an argument that that's not true.
Sure. Or the other way.
Or you could make an argument that it's true.
Yeah,
it's tough to make an argument that they'd be exactly the
Correct.
same.
That's impossible, right? They hate each other to some extent.
Yeah, generally, I could see his point, but he was making a false premise and telling people to swallow that, and she shouldn't have heckled, but he was making a premise that was kind of untrue. And it's hard, even if the punchline's great, it's like if we're starting in a fantasy world and we're like, here's reality. And I'm like, I can't pretend that that's reality when we started there.
I'm the same way. I have a good friend, Steph, and she when she was a kid, would drive her crazy, and it still drives her crazy. It's very funny when there would be a TV show with children and there'd be someone in a dog costume, right? And they're talking to it as if it's a dog, and she's like, that's clearly someone in a dog costume. Why are you pretending it's a dog? Like, as a child, this would drive her crazy. For me, what I can't handle are musicals. Because why you're having dinner or you're at the promenade or something, and then you just start spontaneously singing. And then what also drives me crazy is when you have 2 characters on each side of the screen of the stage, and one sings one line and pauses, and then the other one sings the other half of the couplet. I'm like, if they're singing, why are they pausing to someone that they can't see? So these 2 things, like in terms of you and you hear a joke and it takes you out of reality, they drive me nuts.
Right. I think the only disagreement I have is in those worlds, you're taken out of reality from the start.
Sure, that's
There's
fair.
no pretext.
Correct.
Because a friend of mine saw Cloverfield.
Okay, yeah.
And she's like, monsters like that aren't real. And I'm like, that's the problem you had with a movie? If there ever is a monster like that, she's not in my survival party. She's going to slow us down. But, I mean, pardon me, I got a little bit of a... It's just these... the air is full of crap.
It is.
In this city, I don't know why. The country's so big.
Yeah.
And we put so much crap on this tiny island, and we've got pipes to carry water. We've got roads to carry. It doesn't have to be here.
Yeah.
It doesn't all have to be here anymore.
There was a very funny comment I once read on a message board. There's a comic book character called Johnny Thunder, and he has a magic genie, and obviously the genie grants him wishes, right? And this villain, the Ultra Humanite, what he does, and he's been around since the 30s, is he puts his brain into different people's bodies, and so he puts his brain into Johnny Thunder's body, and he gets control of the genie, and he takes over the world. And there's only a small pocket of superheroes and villains who are fighting him, and the villain, the Icicle, has like an ice shield because there's all these telepathic heroes who are under the Ultra Humanite's control who are scanning the world for traitors. and they can't scan through the ice shield. And someone goes, that is the stupidest thing, that the telepathy can't go through the ice shield. And someone wrote, right, because in reality, telepathy is completely irrelevant to the temperature of the surroundings.
Right. It can go through concrete, but not ice, unless it's really cold, like if that's in Greenland.
So here's something I wanted to talk to you about. One of the things I get called all the time, I was just on Gutfeld's podcast last week.
Oh, the hot seat, yeah.
The one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he opens with, Malice, you're such a weirdo. And when I went to LA to visit a friend of mine, that's what the word she used. And I told Greg, well, he's like, you're such a weirdo. I go, well, you're such a pot kettle. And I get called this a lot, and I'm sure you get called this a lot.
Yes.
And how does that make you, sorry to get all Barbara Walters, but what effect does that have on you? And I'll tell you what effect it has on me.
I get a lot of people say, is that your real voice? Is that how you really act? Like I would choose to have this voice if I wanted to choose a voice. I want the voice that makes men think I'm a pussy and women think I'm a loser. No, I obviously... what do you say when someone says something stupid? Plus, the whole thing of weird is, I'd rather be weird. I mean, I think a lot of you go down the street and most people are in teams.
Yes.
You got the people with the collared shirts going out to the fratty type bar,
Right.
and then you got the hipsters. They're really individual. They all look like they shop at the same store. It's a whole bunch of groups of people. So weird is a compliment. It's like saying, oh, you're thinking for yourself too much.
To me, it's a synonym for special, right? But at the same time, it always has this negative subtext in that the person doesn't seem to be able to figure you out. And my perspective is, I don't think I don't know about an open book, but I'm pretty open with my values and my perspectives. And I don't think they're that complicated that people can't figure it out. At the same time, I pride myself on having rare genes and had a plant collection. And I like things that are off the beaten path. But it's just odd that is somehow a bad thing in certain people's eyes.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
If it was a word I would use. Well, when you're an open book?
Kind to some extent.
When's the last time you cried?
Okay, let me think. I know I cried. Wait, I cried on the flight back from North Korea.
Why did you cry?
Because all those people are still trapped there.
Okay.
So I got out of Russia, and seeing them and knowing that they're going to be there forever really fucks with your head.
Right.
Because they are not weird. They're very normal, which makes it even more pernicious. I also cried.
And just to define pernicious for the listeners that don't know what that word means.
What are you, the host now? We don't define things on this show. They can go on one of those dictionaries that have...
I like to try to turn the tables on people.
It's Judo Joe Machi.
I thought maybe you're just like, it's going to be a long flight. And I'm sad.
Wait, I think someone died or something. That I don't have any shame in crying. It just takes a lot for me to get to that point.
Me too. That's why when if someone passes away that you're close to, it takes a while to set in, and sometimes you really feel the loss at some random moment. When you get mail or something like that. Whereas I teared up. I didn't cry. I'm a tough guy. But during Forrest Gump, when Jenny died, and I didn't even think Jenny was a terrible human being.
I never saw Forrest Gump.
Oh, okay. Well, you're not. It's too late. I'm going to spoil it.
Okay.
Jenny does not treat him very well in that movie. She had a rough life. I will give her that. But it wasn't like she was very good to Forrest. And you're really crying because of the loss that Forrest feels, I think.
Yeah.
And you give an hour and a half of build-up to something, and you see that in that setting with the best people at making that build-up. Yeah, it hits you a little bit.
I think the hostages getting out may have brought a tear to my eye. The 3 hostages Trump got out of North Korea. Probably the time I cried the most, I was the most disturbed. My great-grandmother had really far advanced cancer, so she's done, right?
Right.
My grandmother went to San Francisco to take care of her. They didn't tell her she's done. Ooh. So she has to take care of her mom dying while keeping the secret while her mom just thinks she has the flu. So that is very intense, and I'd be calling her. I'm like, "Oh, how are you feeling?" And I couldn't tell her, "You've got a few weeks or something like that." So that was really, really hard.
Oh, that is hard. Yeah.
Yeah, and also at the same time, like American Beauty came out, and that got to me. I also cry. You're gonna laugh, and I don't care.
No, I'm not gonna laugh.
I cried when I watched the Johnny Depp Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
That's pathetic. Now,
okay, Augustus.
no,
Lou.
I'm teasing.
Listen,
I'm teasing.
we're going to
I'm
set you up to
teasing.
shoot because Harvey Pekar gave me the golden ticket and kind of saved me from corporate hell. So I really related to that sense of when you're trapped in your life and you get to escape and live your best self. To
Right.
use a horrible term.
That makes sense. Yeah, a lot of life is one opportunity you did or didn't get.
Yeah. So I want to talk about how you. Here's a question. You were also on Red Eye before me as the frightened correspondent. We got a question from the chat room. How did that develop?
Is this live?
Yeah.
Oh crap!
Why?
No, I've been swearing.
That's fine.
Thought maybe we could, like, if I said something really bad, we could edit it.
Yeah. We bleeped out when you were talking about the N word. We weren't using that.
I
was
didn't
off
say
camera.
that.
You said N word.
That was not me.
It's another Joe Machi.
There's another one. He looks just like he has a mustache.
Is there really?
And glasses.
Hello, my name is Joseph Machi.
I was very nervous my first time on Red Eye. That's why I probably seem different now because I'm much more comfortable doing radio without, there's less pressure.
But there's video.
Oh, damn it. I'm all sweaty.
Yeah.
I look better. This is me without the warp paint. But you know how the more comfortable you get, the less nervous you act, the more you've done anything. So even my last time on Gutfeld a couple weeks ago, I was pretty laid back, but I was so nervous. I think he thought, well, let's go with this.
Okay.
And he gave me a chance to have fun with it instead of saying, well, that's weird.
Right.
We shouldn't have a nervous person on television, which is true. You never see nervous people on
that's
television.
A good point.
And that's a whole segment of society that's kind of I remember there's a YouTube video a while back about a guy trying to be a sports reporter. It went viral. You may have seen this.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And it was just it was rough. It was rough to watch, but I hope that guy kept at it.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure he could have been good at it eventually.
It's funny. A lot of times people have told me that doing what I do, like being a pundit, is like their worst nightmare because they're scared they're going to freeze. They're scared they're not going to know what to say. And I can get that, but you don't have to be as eloquent as, your hero Hitler. You just have to be able to be...
I don't like Hitler.
You love Hitler.
It's a real jerk, that guy. Real son of a gun.
Yeah, because of the vegetarianism, right?
Well, the murdering?
So what's the ranking? Vegetarianism, murdering.
I think the vegetarian thing upsets vegetarians, not...
Yes, I think that's true.
Like, oh man, why did Hitler have to be a vegetarian?
He was also like a big uppers guy.
Oh yeah, like amphetamines.
Yeah.
Don't do drugs.
That's true.
That's what drugs can lead to.
To world respect.
I'm like, they're cracking the egg and saying this is your brain. I'm like, why are we doing that? We don't need these stupid egg-related metaphors.
Okay. Wait. So, how did you? What was it like for you growing up? Did people bully you?
No, I mean, I think in truth, there were some people who bullied me, but also some people I bullied because there were some people I wasn't nice to.
Oh, because you're of your quick wit.
No, I just think when you're a kid, the world is new.
Sure.
And you don't realize how mean you're being at times, and you want to fit in. And I'm not excusing it. Like I'm not saying I was like the bad kid in the '80s movie. Trent from Goonies. But was I always nice to people? No. And were people always nice to me? No. I think there were some kids who really bore the brunt of it a ton, and then I felt bad for those kids. And as soon as I matured a little bit, I made sure to be a better person. But yeah, I mean, I got picked on, and I picked on people.
So that's interesting. I think so. The thing is, every comedian I've met is really dark and fucked up inside. Do you think that's true?
No, I think some definitely are.
Sure.
But I think if you took doctors and looked at their lives and what they thought and what thoughts were going through their head, or garbage men or lawyers or cashiers, you would find the same incidents of those issues.
Oh, I disagree. Really?
Yes.
You don't think the proportion of comedians who have something angsty deep inside them is higher than cashiers?
I think that we have a narcissism that thinks people should care what we think.
Sure.
And I also feel like comedians are stubborn because you have to be to get up there over and over again in bad situations. Because most of your career starting out is telling jokes in bars to people that didn't realize that they were going to a show.
Right, and they don't care. Why are you talking to me?
Right. But there's a lot of comedians that are very well-adjusted people, and it's just, to me, it's like a stereotype like anything else. It's just what people have focused on. I think of all the people that you know.
Yeah.
And how many of them have some serious issues.
Let's say 100%.
Yeah. Most people are in some way crazy.
Yeah,
That's what's comforting in a way.
But I don't understand how the lifestyle doesn't make you crazy.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it contributes to it, especially the traveling.
Right.
When you show up I was in Nashville last weekend. It's like you show up and you're at a party, and there's a different party next week, and you might not even want to be at that party, but you're the host of that. Host of that party. So there's free booze. There, people offer you drugs. I don't use the drugs. I do drink a little bit, but yeah, you gotta be careful.
Michael Malice here. I want to tell you guys about our first sponsor on the show, Le Barbier de Bourbon at ShaveCleanMaintain.com. They're bringing you the barbershop experience at home. None of that high school polo sport or Axe. This is for grown-ups. It smells sophisticated. It smells expensive, but it's not an expensive price. If you use your promo code, you're welcome at ShaveCleanMaintain.com. They'll even throw in free shipping. Go to the site, check out their products. I personally use the shaving stuff. It works great for me. Cannot recommend enough. ShaveCleanMaintain.com, promo code, you're welcome. I'm home 23 hours a day, 6 days a week, right? Like 1 hour away from being a shut-in. So for me to be...
It's like you're in solitary confinement, basically.
Or in a castle. I've got a nice apartment. It's 3-bedroom. So
wow.
Yeah. But I
live in New Jersey.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Where?
Weehawken.
Oh, that's where Hamilton was shot.
Yes, it was.
My hero.
Yep. It's also got great views of the city.
Wait, but I want to know how it got to the point where you were comfortable quitting your day job, because that's a big deal to be like, I'm going to pay my rent being a comedian.
I got to the finals of Last Comic Standing.
So you still had a day job at that point?
I still had a day job.
Did everyone else pretty much?
No, I think I was the only one. And I was actually younger in comedy than the other finalists.
Interesting.
But I was worried about it because anytime you quit that, you lose that steady paycheck. I was working at Viacom. It's nerve-wracking, but I thought I'd already been on Jimmy Fallon in 2012. I'd been doing Red Eye. I was working at a lot of clubs in the city. If I didn't quit then, the industry wouldn't take me seriously. Yeah. Because they would say, even if he's good, he's not committed to go all in. So I felt I had to quit at that point.
I mean, is this something, and my answer would be yes, is this something you pat yourself on the back over?
I pat myself on the back all the time. It's good to like toot your own horn and have good self-esteem. And plus I stretch. Okay. So, I get right in the middle. But I think you gotta. Sometimes I make a list of, when I'm kind of feeling down, I make a list of things that I've accomplished that are good. You should try to remember the good things. I think that's what depression is. It's the inability to see the good things in the world.
So are you someone, like, I'm someone who's much more anxious than depressed. Are you someone who's more depressed than anxious when things go bad?
I'm very anxious as well. Okay. I'm definitely a worrier.
Yeah.
Kind of like in the obsessive worrying.
Oh.
I'll think things that are going to happen that are not going to happen.
Do you know what the expression is in AA for that? I'm not in AA, but my friend told me. Don't borrow trouble.
Don't borrow. That's hilarious.
Because as bad as you think it is,
right,
the theory and your creative mind is going to be so much worse. This huge unimaginable demon is worse than the reality of, I lost a gig.
That's right, because it's the imagined things that aren't going to happen that I worry about instead of the real things.
It's like, I lost the gig. Okay, who cares?
Well, like for instance, I drove into the city to do a spot, and I was driving home, and a drunk lady thought my car was her Uber.
Okay.
So she put her hand on my back door handle and tried to open it. I rolled my window down. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not an Uber. And then I drove away. And then I thought, well, that lady was probably drunk. I hope she didn't think that I hit her with the car.
Oh, that's how your mind works.
Yeah, I invented this scenario that I'm somehow a criminal.
Yeah.
Because this drunk person was in an altered state and she put her hand on my car. I hope she didn't think that I hit her and is going to say that I hit and ran.
Yeah.
You know, it's just this crazy scenario.
Have you always been like that? Since you were a kid?
I've always been like that.
Are your parents like that too?
No.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think the only thing is like if you can recognize it, you tell yourself, this is nuts.
You should also keep a Word document of all the things you thought. Here's something that worked for me. I used to temp when I first graduated college.
Where'd you temp at?
I forget the temp agency. I just bounced around from place to place, and I was stressing out a few years, maybe 10 years ago, and I walked coincidentally by. It was like Hotels of the World was one of the places I temped. I walked by it coincidentally. I looked at the door. I'm like, I know that door. I'm like, wait a minute, I temped there, and I remembered all the things I was worried about, 5 years ago, and none of them came to pass. Mm-hmm. And I think, and this is for you and for the listeners, if you sit down and whenever you have a crazy scenario and you write it down, next time you're feeling that way, it'll calm you down to look at this list and be like, this is all the things you imagined. Literally none of these came true. And the ones that did came true, you handled easily or with difficulty, but you handled them.
Right. That's the thing. Especially when you're younger, you think that every minor mistake you make is so devastating because you don't realize that life is long,
and you also
think you're
think
gonna have opportunities.
Right, you also think this is your one shot.
Right,
and that is the biggest lie.
Yeah, they really push that on these kids getting out of high school.
Yeah,
you got to go to college and spend $100,000 on what you don't know what you want to do. But go.
But it's also like if you blew this interview with like maybe some trying to pass at some comedy club, you don't have to be homeless. It's like this is just a setback. There's absolutely everyone who has made it as a comedian, as a writer, whatever, has had setbacks. It's never the case that this was your one shot, you blew it, you're done. That's like princess thinking.
Yeah, if it is, you weren't going to succeed anyway.
Right. And I think so much of success in entertainment or whatever field you're in is just a matter of stamina and being like, if I stick through this, eventually some door's going to open.
Yeah, I think that's true. You can outlast a lot of people that say no to you in stand-up because bookers change and clubs change ownership and all that stuff.
So how many cities, are you at the road every weekend?
Last year, I was probably gone 33, 34 weekends of the year. This year I'm looking to do 30. I was opening for another comedian a lot last year. I've only done a few opening gigs and mostly I headline myself.
Yeah. So
probably about 30.
Is it so? You're at the point where you have like loyal fans.
Yeah, I have
in different cities.
I have fans. It's tougher and tougher to get people to know who you. Media is so fragmented.
Sure.
That you just have to keep putting stuff out. I did Conan just because I need to get something on TV.
Yeah.
Greg Gutfeld, that show helped. But it used to be you did one Tonight Show spot and there were 4 channels and
right.
Everyone saw it and we could work the road for years, and now I don't know how many people watch my Comedy Central half hour.
Right. Oh, you don't even have the numbers.
I don't, but I don't think it was great.
But the point I'm making is it must feel very validating if you go back to Tennessee or whatever and the same people are there to support you and they're actually happy to like in New York, it's so rare that someone's happy to see you.
Right.
Where they're happy. It's like, hey, good to see you. I'm happy to see you. I'm ecstatic you're here.
People aren't impressed by anything in New York either.
Right. So, yeah.
It's you're a stand-up that they haven't heard of and you've been on TV a bunch. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Because they just saw, I don't know, who's a famous person?
You can't
Liza Minnelli.
That's
on the subway.
Name a famous person. That's like Family Feud. Name a celebrity. Liza Minnelli. Show us Liza Minnelli. Oh, number one answer. It's 65 votes.
I could have gone with Brad Pitt or George Clooney, but I
know you know what the celebrities.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. I'm not judging.
It took me a while. I'm still like kind of. My allergies have been off the hook, and I just didn't sleep all that great. So I'm just kind of like still in a bit of a fog. But yeah, I hope I answered that frightened correspondent question. I'm not even sure.
No. So Greg found you, and he's like, instead of like twist turning the screws, let's actually make this a thing.
Put someone in a position where they can succeed.
Yeah.
Even if it's not the typical position. Like, I'm not a big football fan anymore, but to me, so much of it has to do with coaching, because there's a reason that New England can plug in any quarterback, and like when Tom Brady got injured, they put in Matt Castle.
Right.
And they still won a lot, and then Matt Castle got traded to a different team, and it wasn't as successful. And it just seems like if someone's willing to put you in the right situation where you can succeed, you got a lot better opportunity.
Right. So we never got the answer to this. What are you like when's the last time you got in like an argument or raised your voice?
Oh, I argue. I think probably was arguing comedy with Sam.
Okay.
Sam Morrill, a friend of mine. We're just passionate about it.
Okay, that's different then.
Yeah, I think sometimes I argue politics and we get a little heated, but not too bad. You just want to remember these are your friends.
Yeah.
You know, I wish I almost feel like you're going to succeed more as a pundit the more of a jackass you come off as.
Thank you. That is my brand.
No, you're a sweet guy, but yeah, you look on ESPN, these sports pundits. I stopped watching it years ago because it just drove me nuts. It's like they make up scenarios and then they argue about them. They're like,
Right.
Is Carmelo Anthony a top 20 NBA player? And then one's like, yes, he is. Clearly is. And then the other's like, no, he isn't. And I'm like, this is such a bogus measurement
Yeah.
of what a good player is. It's like, are his statistics good? Is he a good teammate? Does he help the team win? That's, it's just this made up thing.
But it's also like these articles about how Hillary Clinton can still be president.
Oh.
It's like, it's not happening.
If Trump gets impeached, Pence becomes president and Pence resigns.
Yeah, and like he appoints her as vice president.
Right,
it's just like, this is not...
This ridiculous pie in the sky scenario.
Yeah. It's very weird to me where, but it's also like when we were kids, we'd have those arguments about who'd win, Superman or the Hulk. Obviously, Superman.
Yeah, I mean, Superman can turn back time.
Yeah.
According to that one terrible plot line.
Oh, the Superman 2.
Yeah, where he spins around the earth.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, Hulk, you got to get him. You got to get him when he's not angry too.
Sure.
Maybe like,
But he could just throw him into the sun.
we could, but like maybe take Hulk out for brunch. Is there some smooth jazz playing? That's when you attack.
That's a good start. So what's your favorite thing about being a comedian? Is as stupid as it is it making people laugh?
I have no boss.
Yeah.
You can get fired from gigs, but it's really hard to fire a comedian from comedy.
Yeah.
Because there's so many places that are, if you tell a
Unless
joke.
you're Kathy Griffin.
Unless you're Kathy Griffin, which I thought I thought 2 years ago, I thought if you made a joke about killing the president, that was illegal.
Right.
I guess that's not
Right.
so much the case.
The point I made is if she did that same photo in a burqa, it would have been funny. It would have landed more.
It's hard for me to picture. I just didn't find it.
It wasn't clever at all.
No.
I don't think she was trying to be clever. She just did it as a goof.
I thought she said in an interview, she's like, we're gonna shock people. This is intentionally to raise the bar.
But it wasn't
and
like,
it did.
Yeah, it wasn't like there was all these weeks of planning. She's just like, oh, we're doing a photo shoot. Let's do this. It'll freak people out. Yeah.
It's a president's severed head joke. It sounds weird when you say it.
Did she steal that from your set? You have that whole bit about the president's severed head.
No, I have a bit now about how democracies and dictatorships aren't that different.
Oh, let me hear this. I talk about this in my next book.
In a democracy you get 1 vote, in a dictatorship you get 0 votes. It's just not a lot of difference in votes. But a democracy, to change everything, it takes election after election. Dictatorship should change the whole country instantly by killing one weird short guy. That's why I don't understand what all the hullabaloo is about Kim Jong-un. To me, it seems like he just wants to be a dictator, which, if you think about it, would be kind of cool. Forget I said that, but like, it just seems to me like in a way, you can change a dictatorship instantly.
Right.
You can't do that in a democracy. Probably probably for the better. When people complain about gridlock, I'm like, no, it's designed
Yeah.
to be hard to make a law.
I actually make that same point in my book on Kim Jong-il, where he goes, wait a minute, I'm horrible because I'm the only one on the ballot, whereas you guys spend an entire year eliminating other choices to give it down to 2 choices. So let me get it straight. 0 choices is chaos, 1 choice is hell on earth, 2 choices is utopia.
Right. It's crazy because, I mean, I'm registered, I'm an independent, so I can't vote in New Jersey primaries. So I have to wait, until the parties decide basically for who I'm gonna pick. And people are like, well, if you could vote in the primaries, you would vote for who you wanted and not the party you wanted. And I'm like, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with me picking who I like of the people that are in the preliminaries?
Which is ostensibly the purpose of democracy.
Yeah, I don't know how we got these teams.
Right.
Because I'm a fairly conservative guy, but I feel like it depends on the issue. I could be quite liberal depending on the issue.
Sure.
And when someone's like, we need to build a football stadium for a billionaire, I'm like, I can't.
No, thank you.
When I rent a car, the fees are more than the rental car now because the local governments are smart. They realize that if they put a fee on rental cars, it's not going to hurt their constituents.
Yeah. So
they're like, oh, it's the impact fee for the impact you're having bringing money to our local economy.
Right. What's your favorite joke that you've ever written? Or what's the one you most look forward to performing because you know it hits them every time?
I wouldn't say any joke hits every time.
Oh, interesting.
Because it just depends on the crowd, what happened before you. If I follow a dirty comic, I followed a comic who blew the light, which means he went longer than he's supposed to.
Okay.
And he was just asking guys if they shave their balls and riffing on that.
That's that kind of mentality where people think saying the phrase "big black dildo" is inherently funny. It's like, it's not.
It's the easiest, dumbest
It's not a
thing.
joke. It's just like making people uncomfortable and then they giggle out of anxiousness.
But in a room full of drunk people, that might work, and it's hard to follow that. I mean, you wouldn't do a double feature, Showgirls and Up. You know, you would show Up first if you're going to do that, and if you're going to put me on before someone like that, that's fine, but someone like that can really bury you with crap. Because an audience's IQ can drop.
Yeah. As they're also getting drunker.
Right. Get drunker and tireder and having a lower bar.
So, but at this point, I've done this also. I've had many times where you walk in and the crowd is not having it, and you consciously identify that's what's happening, and you grab them by the antlers, whatever, and you steer them and you get them to your side. I mean, I'm sure you know how to do that at this point.
It doesn't always work, but I like to pretend that everything's going as planned.
Okay.
Because a lot of comedians will like berate the audience for not laughing.
No.
It's like
The worst thing to me, sorry to interrupt you, is when people are like, when there's a small crowd and it's like, oh, no one's here. It's like you're yelling at the people who are there.
Yeah,
those are the good guys.
Yeah, those are the people you want to. I want to put on a show for those people because they're there. But I pretend that it's going well. I'm like, I don't want you guys to laugh through the punchline. I want everyone to hear this and sit quietly and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And afterwards, you can tell me how great it was.
Yeah.
Because that way, it's a positive vibe, and it's also kind of silly. Like, obviously, I would prefer if they were laughing. It's a kind of a blow to the ego.
Yeah.
You can easily look foolish doing stand-up. That's when you watch a special on TV, it's even if the jokes are great, it's never as powerful as seeing it live because there's so much more stakes for the person involved, and there's stakes for the audience because you're like, is this guy going to be able to pull this off, or is it going to go horribly wrong? Because it can. It can.
What's the worst heckle you've ever gotten?
It's never one where there's an actual constructive thing.
Okay.
It's when someone says next.
Ooh.
Or not funny. You know, because now I can either ignore it or I can be a substitute teacher.
Yeah,
and it's hard to go back to it's hard to go back to being silly after you. Well, even if I do slam a heckler with a good put down.
Like what? Give me that. This is what I like. This is my
it really depends on the circumstance.
Okay.
Yeah, but so I would have to be in a circumstance where I was heckled, but it's hard to go back to being a fun, silly guy after that. That's why there's this misconception that the heckling is part of it, or the comics want it to happen.
No, wait, who thinks this? This is the worst idea I've ever heard.
Usually dumb audience members. Like, I was helping you, or, oh, why did they throw me out? I was just participating. And it's like, no, it's a show. I mean, when you go to a theater, it's a performance, and they make you keep your cell phone in your pocket.
Yeah.
But a lot of comedy clubs, I'll have someone in the front row on Facebook, and I'm like, it's not good for the show, and it's hard to perform when, when someone's talking in a theater, even if you can't even understand what they're saying. It's the fact that they're taking you out of that world.
Yeah, exactly.
That's frustrating, and that's what that does.
For me, the only reason pretty much that I block people on Twitter is if I'm trolling someone and I've got them good and someone jumps in and goes, oh, he's messing with you. I'm like, why are you ruining this situation I've created to the amusement of everyone? And I'm like, and I have to block them instead of mute them because they're going to do it again.
Right. I don't block people because it gives them satisfaction sometimes that you block them. I do mute people, and I don't like to troll people on Twitter.
You're not a troll. I am.
Yeah, I feel like you don't accomplish it. It's like arguing with bumper stickers, and you're not really communicating in a constructive way.
I find it fun because people who aren't that bright often think they're brilliant. And when you're trolling them...
I get that a lot.
They just double down, and it's really just how far you... Like, for example, I tweeted out a couple of weeks ago, I said, Trump wants to build a wall. Hitler built the Berlin Wall. Wake up, America. And for 4 days, I had people correcting me. And I had fans jumping in and go, well, Hitler didn't literally build it, but all the blueprints were in Mein Kampf. And they would start arguing. And it's just like, how far can you get them to take it? That's what I mean by troll.
Right. Colin Quinn does that a lot. Like, he'll tweet. He tweeted Carole King, I was at your show. Great job. It's customary when celebrities of equal caliber are at each other's shows to bring them up on stage and kind of introduce them to the audience, and all these Carole King fans are just destroying him on Twitter, and the whole time he's clearly being facetious. I guess there is some enjoyment to that.
Yeah, because it's kind of an inside joke, because obviously you know what Colin's doing. He knows what he's doing. Yeah. I bet you Carole King knows what he's doing, if she even reads her Twitter.
Yeah, if she does.
Right. Oh, and it's just funny the people who run interference. Like, they think Carole King's their friend.
Or they think they have to defend Carole King on the internet, which is, I guess, kind of sweet.
To a point.
Yeah.
Like, the ones who are the worst are the Rihanna fans, the Madonna fans, and the Beyonce people. Like, I just made a joke about how... Not a joke, a statement that La Isla Bonita is a human rights violation and is literally genocide. And people are like, this is her best song. Like, and I'm like, it's not her best song. Like, Madonna is amazingly talented. La Isla Bonita will not go down in history as one of her accomplishments.
No. It won't. You're right. It's hard for me to get passionate about that. I do know if you tweet the wrong thing. I used to tweet jokes on Twitter. I don't do it anymore. I kind of felt like it was an easy way to have your jokes stolen.
Yeah. Ooh.
But plus I don't know. I don't care for the companies. Like, they're all spying on us, and we're giving them the content. So I don't have Facebook Messenger on my phone. I should delete my friend page, but I have to have a fan page to promote shows. But I tweeted once a joke about Bitcoin. I don't even remember what it was. And I had more hate from that joke because this was 2 years ago when people were fighting to make Bitcoin not be worthless.
Yeah.
And they still are.
Right.
But then it was like people wanted to be, it was like, this is my chance to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
And now you buy in, it's so expensive, it's tough. But they weren't angry at me, they were angry at an attack on something that was their special interest, which I think is a big problem. You can't see the forest through the trees.
Yeah, I'm friends with a lot of those Bitcoin people, and it's really funny how passionate, to use a euphemism, they are about this magic internet money.
Right. It's crazy how much electricity it's taking to mine that stuff. It's this bullshit equations and algorithms they have to solve, and just what a waste of energy.
I was at John Stossel's house for dinner once.
Uh-huh.
And it was me, and there were all these famous... It's like five of us, and I was the least important, least famous person. Like, there's a Pulitzer winner, there's like this, famous writer. And they were just a little older, and they're all pontificating about Bitcoin. And they go, has anyone actually ever bought anything with Bitcoin? And I said, yeah, drugs. And I wasn't joking. Like, I gave it to my friend. I forget, it was Percocet or something, just once. And then I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm just kidding.
Well, John Stossel would have thought that was okay.
Yeah,
He's quite libertarian.
Oh, I know, but the thing is, he's a moderate libertarian, maybe a little bit less so than Dave Smith, but
Right. Dave Smith, you son of a bitch.
he is part of the problem with his Gary Johnson worship. Michael Malice here. I want to tell you guys about BetDSI.com. They've been in business for over 20 years, paying winners. They top rated on sportsbook review sites. It's an easy to use mobile playing interface. You play, you win, you get paid. Simple. They've got a great mobile app. You can use it from everywhere. They offer live in-game wagering. You can make plays throughout the entire games and events. BetDSI.com offers odds on pretty much everything else too, including all major sports, politics, reality TV, pretty much everything. I recommend BetDSI.com if you want to add a little excitement to the games you're watching. Even if you don't like sports, this is how you have fun watching the World Cup and have the funnest workday of your life. Go to betdsi.com and use promo code WELCOME100 for a 200% bonus on your initial deposit. That's free money, people. You are welcome. What we were talking about earlier with being weird, I think it's easy to forget what most people's perspective is and what's acceptable to talk about and what is appropriate.
It's also tough in that situation because there's a hierarchy that you're being judged on too,
Yes.
not just the validity of your argument. It's like when you're on Red Eye for the first time and you're next to, well, back in the day it was Bill Schultz and Andy Levy that were there every night. It's hard to just go for it because you want to come back, you know.
yeah.
And maybe when you're with a Pulitzer Prize winner and John Stossel, that mustache. I mean, the media's Tom Selleck, as he's known. You don't you feel like you want to be a part of that? You want to be. I mean, that's you're judging yourself like, oh, I said something stupid in front of these people, instead of saying, oh, I went for it. I made a little bit of a.
It didn't land.
It didn't land. That's okay.
Yeah, but I did backpedal. That was like I was nervous because
The space station didn't land. It's a colossal
I
waste
was
of money.
nervous because these are all such accomplished, important people, and being it hit my brain, my immigrant part of my brain, because I felt like such a tourist there. Like, you don't belong, you're not on the level of these people, which rarely happens to me because of my huge ego. So I was very kind of like, and then I realized later that the whole point for me to be there was comic relief.
Right. Just have fun with it, because I mean, Pulitzer Prize,
Yeah,
big deal. Wasn't Joseph Pulitzer a yellow journalist?
sure.
So he gets the award.
Well,
maybe that's
she got it for literary fiction, which is no joke.
literary fiction.
Yeah. So the Pulitzer
So fiction.
It's for novel. Like, every year a novel gets the Pulitzer for, like, this is an amazing novel.
Novels.
Wait, so
I don't know. Awards aren't. Yeah. Do you ever hear people say it's like, oh, we're gonna watch who cares about the Oscars or any of these award shows?
yeah, I don't watch them anymore at all.
I think people who watch movies all the time, they're the worst people.
Yeah.
To judge a movie because they're jaded, pretentious. They're not the audience that's going to see the movie.
Right.
I go to see like one movie a month, maybe. I want things to explode.
So you're from Pennsylvania, central Pennsylvania.
Yes, I am.
So, and I talked a lot about this with Matt Eisman. One of the things I really hate about New York and certain like lefty culture in general is what you call jaded. This idea that if you're having fun or things are lighthearted, that it's somehow less than or inferior or something to apologize for. I think that's a very nasty perspective. And it's also dangerous when you teach it to young people. Because when you're young, you should see the miracles and the magic in life and enjoy it, as opposed to having a chip on your shoulder and you know, being embittered. You could do that when you're older.
I think people are just they're afraid to have fun. They're afraid to go against the what their friends think is cool. And I get that. And some of the stuff they like is great. And I'm sure some people really believe that, oh, it's better if a comedian's not prepared, if you've ever done a show in Brooklyn.
Right.
But I think the worst thing is when people judge their group to be so superior to
Right.
others, because the mere name Flyover State
Right.
drives me insane
course.
because, oh, those people that make your food
Yeah.
and
Are nice to their wives and kids.
are nice to their wives and kids, and you know, I mean, a lot of those people that make fun of it moved from Kansas.
Yeah.
And they come here and they're like, we're New Yorkers. They're so stupid back home. And I'm like, no, they're good people.
Yeah. I have a good friend in the Midwest, so whenever I hear this kind of attitude, it hits very close to home, and it really gets me very angry. And especially you coming from Pennsylvania, it's just like for people who've never met everyone you knew growing up to dismiss them out of hand, is psychotic.
It's just another stereotype, and almost all the time, it's whenever you stereotype anything, it's usually
Jews.
wrong. I have a lot of Jewish friends.
So did Hitler. Your hero.
Hitler is not my hero.
Idol? Is idol the preferred term?
No, I would say my hero is probably MacGyver.
No, wouldn't it be Stalin who killed Hitler?
Well, Hitler killed him.
No, but I mean,
himself.
who got to the bunker?
Is this a Twitter thing? Is that what you're doing? No.
Oh my god.
Stalin was kind of a jerk, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if Hitler wasn't around, Stalin would have been hated a lot more. Yes. It's one of those things where, like, the Samantha Bee thing got a lot of play, but the Roseanne thing that earlier in that week was the thing we were all supposed to be offended about.
This is a big argument in the new right, the idea that we should have let Hitler fight Stalin and then just picked off the one who was left. And my friend made the point that goes, which murderous ideology should I be more worried about? The one that lost or the one that won?
Right. I think our country sometimes makes the mistake of not being consistent with freedom.
Right.
We did that with China.
Yeah.
It's you see that guy in front of the tank in Tiananmen Square. No one knows what happened to that guy. It's probably not good.
Right.
And then they're our most favored nation trading status beneficiary.
We're glad-handing them all the time.
Yeah, and it made no sense to me then, and it doesn't now, and it's something we have to undo, and it's going to be painful, but when you make those choices for the quick benefit, it usually doesn't work. I think I disagree with Trump a lot, but I think what he said about Korea being other presidents' mess is true.
Of course.
Mean, this was kicked down the road for
decades.
We're not supposed to appease people, and we were doing oil for peace and all that nonsense. So.
Well, the point I always make is if someone has your kids hostage, are you going to go up to them and be like, hey, you murdered all those other people, you asshole? Or are you going to be like, oh, you're great, give me your gun? I mean, which is going to be more effective to get them to do what you want?
Right, and I think America would have had no patience. In hindsight, trying to defeat Stalin then, I mean, we had the troops on the ground. We probably could have won, but in hindsight, the American people, you're not taking into account that they would have had no patience for allying with the Nazis.
Yeah, that's for damn sure. So last question. So you've been doing the podcast for over a year. Is this something you're sick of, or you're into the groove now?
We're kind of into a groove now, and it's really convenient because we do it at the Comedy Cellar.
Okay.
Well, there's a studio right upstairs, and
yeah, I've been in there.
We get a lot of good
Who's that
comedians.
guy's name? Noam?
Noam, the owner.
Yeah, I got into it on his show because he was trying to convince me that torture's okay. And I'm like, I was not having it even for a second, because he was having these insane hypotheticals like, there's a terrorist, and only if you torture him can he stop another 9/11. And I'm like, if you're a terrorist who's willing to die for your cause, why wouldn't you lie and just run out the clock? Yeah, and then it becomes a very, very slippery slope. It's like, okay, well, maybe someone's going to die in a year and it's a kid. It's like, when do you, if you start with torture's okay, you're very quickly going to make it okay in a lot of circumstances. And the definition of terrorist is going to get very, very loose.
I agree. I think the reason we have free speech is because you can't start deciding what speech is good and what's bad. And my example, which drives me nuts, is the no-fly list. How in any circumstance that's legal is beyond me to
with no due process.
With no due process, they have less rights than someone else. And you find out why people have the no-fly list, and like, well, one's a suspected terrorist and one complained to a TSA agent about a body pat down.
And there's no mechanism to get off of it. Really.
No, it's absurd, and that's the abuse that you leave yourself open for, all you college listeners out there. When you say that this one group can't have its rights to free speech, sooner or later that's going to be your group.
Yeah.
Because when you get rid of freedom for some people, it's eventually going to come back to haunt you.
That is a great point to leave on. Joe Machi, I'm so glad we finally got you in here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
The podcast is called Keeping Joe on Riotcast. Joe Machi on Twitter. And where's your next show?
I'm actually doing a benefit at the Village Underground, the Comedy Cellar's Village Underground, For City Harvest with Sam Morrill, we've got a great lineup. We got Colin Quinn, a little birdie told me Dave Attell's going to stop by. Rachel Feinstein. It's going to be an all-star lineup. It's $40, but hey, we're helping buy food for people that need food. So that's good, right?
Absolutely. And you laugh and feed some people. Have you ever? Wait. There's one more question because
Okay.
I did stand up for 6 months many years ago.
Oh, you did? I didn't know that.
I couldn't handle it because the same joke that killed one night bombed the next, and that messed with my head something fierce.
It does, yeah.
Have you ever walked a room?
I've walked people from a room. I've never walked the whole room.
I've walked the room.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. Walking a room, for those who don't know, is like after or during your set or whatever. Literally, everyone gets up and leaves.
Yeah. Or it's painful because you feel bad and it's embarrassing that people are like, I'm not even going to pay attention to you. I'm going to get up and leave.
Right.
But it also can ruin the show for the other comics,
Yeah.
and you just feel bad.
But it's also kind of shocking because this is something you would see in a movie, right?
Right.
Like it's like so over the top. Like everyone gets up and leaves. Like it's one step away from having tomatoes thrown on you. It's like, why did they have the tomatoes to begin with?
Why were they wasting tomatoes in eras where tomatoes were much harder to come by? But I do, in the defense of people who walk out, I appreciate that they're not interrupting the show. They're voting with their feet, which is fine. Whereas you have a lot of people now that will try to shout you down.
Yeah.
And that's just leave. Don't ruin it for everyone. Don't try to take away the comic's right to speak.
All right, Joe, thank you so much. I will see you all next week. You are welcome.
Thank you.